did you want to be this when you were a kid? Was the little girl inside of you just so proud, or is she still kind of surprised and in disbelief?
There was drug addiction and alcoholism in my home. My dad went to prison at 17. I'm still surprised and in disbelief because I did not grow up the way that this dream is turning out. I actually grew up much like the families, some of the issues that we see.
Have you heard the saying, the opposite of addiction is connection? We at the Addiction Prevention Coalition know that there's truth in that adage. And so we are fighting addiction face to face, conversation by conversation, creating connection. Here at The Shield, our new podcast, no topic is off limits because there are no limits when it comes to substance use disorder. Welcome to The Shield. With me today is a very special guest, a pinky raise.
Oh.
Dr. Tamika Holmes, the founder and executive director of CCDN, otherwise known as Community Care Development Network. I have to tell you, so when I moved to Birmingham, you were one of the nonprofit leaders that a lot of my team was like, you got to meet with her. You got to meet with her. They said she's very busy, so good luck. Good luck in the meeting.
Wow.
She's very busy. She's very busy. So we got a meeting maybe like 2 months ago or something. I rolled up to your building in Center Point. Okay, which, by the way, I had never been to. So beautiful. Didn't even know what to expect. And it was a food distribution day. And it's all hands on deck. You literally have a baby on your hip, and we are meeting in your front lobby with a woman signing up for food and utility assistance while you're packing food, while children are running in and out and helping deliver the food. And I was like, this is some magic happening right here. Is that every day at your place? Like, is it that active every day?
I like to call it an organized chaos, is what I like to call it. So, yeah, we have a lot going on all the time at our organization. Monday through Thursday, you will find us doing a number of things throughout the day and throughout the week. Absolutely. And Saturdays are a little bit more chill, low-key, but we still have activities and programming going on Saturdays as well.
So let's take a step back. Community Care Development Network, CCDN, what is it?
We are a family solution nonprofit organization.
A family solution nonprofit organization. Okay.
We started really with youth mentoring.
How long ago was that?
2014.
Okay.
I had an idea actually back in 2012, and I wrote everything down, got everything planned up, and went and talked to my local church and said, hey, I have this idea for a mentoring program. Of course, with it being a larger church, they had a lot of moving parts, submitted a presentation, didn't get a call back. So I met with, and she probably does not consider herself this, but I'm going to call her my co-founder.
Okay.
T. Marie King. I met with her at a church event at another church and just sparked up a conversation. And we talked about the plan, lost touch for about a year. And in 2014, I put a message out on LinkedIn saying, hey, I need a project manager to help me with this.
Because you had an idea.
I had an idea.
Okay.
And she replied back. She said, my bad, dropped the ball. I owe you a meeting. So I will always consider T. Marie King the co-founder of Community Care Development Network. And so where my church did not pick the idea up, we started working through processes. We started working through, okay, what's needed? Well, I need a location first. And so she introduced me to Reverend Emily Penfield of Woodlawn United Methodist Church at that time. Went in and talked with her. She looked at me and she said, here's the key.
Get out.
Here's the security code. Here's the classroom that you guys can use. Here's the kitchen. Here's the refrigerator that you guys can use.
Because you got to feed those hungry
Because we
teenagers.
knew we had to feed them. And then these are the days the gym is available. And so, okay, we had a location, we had space, and we started with 2 girls. Mm-hmm. And with those 2 girls, word of mouth got out and easily grew to 30 girls over the summer.
Whoa.
So me with my little structured brain, we're going to do, summer program, and we're going to have this big graduation at the end, and we're going to, treat it as it's a pilot program.
Okay.
Quickly dove into it and started talking to these girls, and, had this little cute structured curriculum on peer pressure and how to be a lady and problem solving and relationships. And some of the challenges that were going on was, yeah, that's cute and all, but I'm hungry. I need some food. I have to help my 4 younger siblings get ready for school because my mom is working 2 jobs. And
Tamika, you are describing how I got into public health.
Yeah.
Because I sought out to be a teacher, and I was trying to teach curricula, and I'm like, they're hungry. Yeah. They can't focus, or they're working a job because they're trying to feed their brothers and sisters, or they've been a victim of sexual assault, or they're about to age out of school and they need to get a job. So they need to know how to fill out a job application and show up. And it's like the stuff.
The real stuff.
Right.
And so.
So did you just wrap your arms around those 30 girls?
We had to pivot real quick, talk back with the board to try to figure out what this is going to look like. And so started with one kid at a time. There was an issue where I had a young lady run away, and mom called us. This was Christmas time, by the way. I'm shopping for Christmas ornaments. My husband and I got the call, left the buggy right there at the store, went to her house, had a conversation with her, and the girl had run out the house with nothing but leggings and a T-shirt, no shoes, no socks. So, of course, we called the police, did the report, and maybe about 15 minutes later, now, by the time we got there, she had been gone about an hour. By the time we got there, the young lady called, and she called from a number that we didn't know. A lady, and I really thank God for angels in this instance because she could have been snatched up by anybody. Mm-hmm. A lady saw her and saw the condition she was in and picked her up, took her back to her apartment. She didn't have shoes for her, but she gave her, a T-shirt, coat, because this was December. This was cold.
Right.
And gave her some socks. And we went and picked her up, got her back home. Well, the kid had been acting out, which is why she was in our mentoring program. Anyway, had gone from being an A student to D's and F's, fighting in school. And so this particular day, when we got her back home, I reached to hug her, and she jumped.
Oh.
And when I tell you she jumped, and my spirit, I just looked at her. I asked Mom, Mom, do I have permission to go in her room and talk with her? I said, can we talk? And we went back to her room, and I asked her just flat out, I said, has somebody been doing something to you? And she just melted and just started crying.
Ugh.
And so Mom is one of those moms. She's working 50, 60 hours.
Right.
Well, all of the kids, cousins, congregated at Grandma's house after school. And she had a cousin that was 17 that had been messing with her since she was 11.
Oh, my goodness.
By this time, she got to her, she was 13. And so she cracked. And this is why she was acting out.
And Mom doesn't know this, doesn't know how to deal with her. She thinks she just has an angry teenager on her hands, which she does, by the way, but with reason.
Right.
And so then you're giving support, I assume, to not only just the girl, but also the family.
The family as a whole.
Oh.
So we ended up getting her removed from Grandma's house. This girl was smart, choir, wanted to join church. Like, she set some goals for herself. And this rocked her world. And so I asked Mom, I said, well, we need to come up with a plan. First of all, she can't go back to grandma's house. We set her up for individual counseling, set her and Mom up for family counseling, which really helped, and she ended up pulling her grades up. She ended up joining the choir again. I remember the following year I went to one of her plays, and beautiful voice. When I tell you, amazing. And she joined track. She ended up graduating high school successfully, going to nursing school.
Now that's a family solution.
That was a family solution. And so I'm so amazed at this opportunity of what we do, and to be able to see how the girls from 2014 are parents now, are business owners now. They've graduated college. They're working successful jobs. And, when we got to the end of that, what I would call a pilot, I had one young lady who was very outspoken. She was like, well, we graduated. We got these cute little certificates and medals and things like that. What are we going to do next? I said, well, y'all tell me. We want to keep coming. I said, well, okay. So those girls stayed with me, I know, for 3 years.
Wow.
And in the midst of it, because we are a family organization, my sons who were in middle school and high school would come every Saturday and set up for those girls. And my youngest son challenged me after about the first year. He's like, I'm tired of sitting here with all these girls. When are you going to start a male mentoring program?
And this is your current director of operations,
This is
correct?
my current director of operations.
This is your son, who is
my
now.
son.
And that's what made you do the male mentoring program.
Yeah, he challenged me. And I always have given my kids the opportunity to bring ideas, question, know.
Oh, yeah.
And he brought that idea to the table. So we started our male mentoring program that following year. And then one of my parents who had a child in the mentoring program, I love her. She's on my board of directors now, by the way.
Smart.
She, her daughter came through the program, and she would gather all of our parents up and take them in the gym, and they would just have conversations.
Is that how your parenting program came to be?
That is how our parenting program started.
So it's like really organic, based on the needs and based on the strengths that the people you're serving are identifying.
Yes.
How did the food come in? Because you're going to say like, duh, Nicole, but every time, this is my privileged self, okay? Every time I go to a food bank or I see a line of food distribution, and I saw this during COVID, and I mean, anytime you have economic uncertainty, the need for y'all's services with food distribution get elevated. But when I was there on that Thursday or whatever, and I saw the line of cars. First of all, let's just back up. While we were meeting in the lobby with people filling out paperwork on either sides of us, and you had a baby on your lap, you also had a Bluetooth in your ear.
Yes.
And people were communicating with you the entire time about when it was appropriate to start the food line.
Yes.
And so sometimes you would be talking, and I thought you were talking to me, but you're talking to the people on the Bluetooth. And they're like, okay, is it ready? And you're like, it's ready.
Yep.
And like the line of cars, and these are people from all walks of life.
Right.
All ages, all stages, not just from Centerpoint.
Right.
How many people in a typical year are you seeing?
For just the food hub, last year we served 22,480 households.
That breaks my brain.
Yeah.
Over 22,000 people.
The entire year through all of our programs, we served 23,000 families through all of our programs.
Are you seeing an increased need?
Yeah, because I actually thought after COVID we would see a decrease.
Right. I think we all did, ma'am. I think we all did.
I thought that, okay, COVID funds have run out, people going back to work. Yeah. Life has opened back up, right?
Right. And the economy was pretty good. Yeah. And so, but it didn't dip.
It didn't. It got higher. And and what we learned is COVID had a major shift in our society and economy, because this is what we were seeing. A lot of people passed away during COVID. And what ended up happening is you had this single mom of 5 kids. Well, mom passed away. Those 5 kids are now with grandma now, who was on a fixed income. She might have been on Social Security, retirement, just enough to survive for herself. Now she's got to take care of the grandkids. The households were serving. I think the largest number of people in a household was 15.
Whoa.
And this is a great aunt who was taking care of multiple sets of family members, some who were impacted because a parent passed away from COVID, some who were impacted because, and something else that happened during COVID, domestic violence rates have gone up.
Yes, ma'am.
And substance use rates had gone up.
Oh, yes.
Because people were trying to cope. And so this particular household who I'm speaking with, the dynamics was so heartbreaking because there was I think this was her great niece that passed away that had 3 or 4 children. She took those children in.
Which is grief.
And then there was a daughter who was in addiction. She had 2 to 3 kids. And then
just more grief and trauma.
And then someone had lost a home. So you've got
oh my gosh,
all of these different family members congregating to this great aunt who is the pillar, the matriarch. And she has to run this household. And there is a total of 15 people in this household.
I don't even think I have 15 people I like, much less 15 people that would be in my household that I'm supposed to be responsible for. Could you imagine? I can't imagine.
And so we have all of these different dynamics. And when you have a household with this type of challenge, I mean, you can imagine what the grocery bill is.
Oh, right. I mean, you're dealing with grocery bill. You're dealing with the kids maybe not getting the academic or emotional support that they need because she's one person, right? Probably utility assistance.
Right.
Like her bills have gone way up. I mean, imagine what her water bill is or her electric bill, right? And then she is probably struggling too, like how to keep it all together.
Yeah. And so
you have a social worker there, right? Which is awesome.
We do have a social worker. We started what we would call our human support services arm, which is the overarching area for the food hubs. And so what we provide, it's unfortunate we had to cut out our physical utility assistance program due to lack of funding, but we do have a resource connection arm where we can connect resources to families that need those resources. So we have a resource list that we could provide. But in addition to it, we have, we serve at our location anywhere between 400 to 600 families. And disabled, single parents, elderly. We have a 15% Hispanic population that come through. And our partners at Community Food Bank have been amazing because we get what's called grocery drop shipments now. And in addition to providing the food boxes that we put together, we set up pallets where once we get these deliveries, we will go in and sort. We'll have maybe 2 to 3 pallets of fresh fruits and vegetables, dry goods. There's like breads, desserts.
I saw some rotisserie chicken the day that I was there.
There was a rotisserie chicken.
Yeah, I was like,
so yeah,
right.
So we get the opportunity to allow the families to come. They bring their bags, or we have additional boxes. They will grocery shop and get additional groceries to fill in the gaps where they may not can afford food.
You had diapers. Yeah. Okay. I feel like, I'm looking at your husband, and I feel like we could probably talk about this organization all day long.
Yeah.
I would like to talk about you for a moment.
Oh, boy.
Right, exactly. So you had this idea, and you got support to execute the vision. You have a lot of support from your family. What were you like before you were Dr. Tamika Holmes? Which is a really big deal, by the way. Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How long have you been a doctor?
I completed my studies last December. Yep.
All right.
Yep. It was a journey. You know, God spoke to me. He said, when your young son graduates high school, you're going back to school for your doctorate degree. And I was like, huh? And I want to share this because I don't tell many people about this. I had actually gone to one university, and, you know, this journey was very overwhelming. Flunked out. Okay. I was going for a DBA.
Okay.
And I was like, because it was stressful. I'm still trying to run this organization. Yeah. I was teaching for another organization and community college, and my GPA dropped. And I was like, you know what? And so when I got the letter because of my GPA, I was like, And so I cried. I had my little moment.
Yeah.
God said, okay, get back on that horse. Found another university, and I did some research before I just dove in because my original background is business, and I know business like these walls are blue. And so
these walls are blue in case you're just listening.
Yeah, the walls are blue. They're pretty navy blue.
Yeah, exactly.
And so God was like, no, you need to really dig deep. And so I ended up finding Marymount University, and they had a program that was perfect for the work that I currently do. Mm-hmm. And it was a doctorate in education with an emphasis in organizational leadership.
Ooh, all right.
And in my interview, because they interview you before you come in, and I disclose, hey, I flunked out. This is the reason why. But this is why you should accept me. And this is what I want to challenge you all with. Because I brought a challenge to the table. The degree was specialized for education and organizational leadership. But they had never had a nonprofit leader in this program before. And so in my interview, I challenged them with so many different areas and dynamics of what societies are experiencing. They accepted me with open arms, and I was able to write my dissertation. I wrote my dissertation on our community food hubs.
Oh, my gosh.
And defended, and the defense was supposed to be 30 minutes. I talked for an hour. I did not realize I talked for an hour because I was so nervous. I did not eat for 3 or 4 days. I was nervous. I was talking too much. My husband was like, you talking way too much these last few days. I was trying to take my mind off of it. And so I did my defense, and they put you in this Zoom room, and they deliberated, came back, and they said, well, congratulations, Dr. Holmes. And I think I cried for like 10 minutes. The ugliest cry.
Those ugly tears.
The ugliest cry.
Those ugly tears. Did you want to be this when you were a kid? Was the little girl inside of you just so proud, or is she still kind of surprised and in disbelief? Like, what were you like as a kid?
I'm still surprised and in disbelief because I did not grow up the way that this dream is turning out. I actually grew up much like the families, some of the issues that we see. There was drug addiction and alcoholism in my home. Just to look at the age gap between my mom and my dad, there's like a 23-year age gap between my mom and my dad. So like when I looked at really studied my birth certificate, because I can't remember what I had it for when I was a kid. I saw, you have your mother's name and age, and on there she was 28, and then you have your father's name and age. He was 51. And so that opened up a well of questions for me
I'm
as
sure
a kid.
It did as a child.
So I'm like, wait a minute. Daddy was born in 1927, and you were born in 1950? I'm like, okay. So that just kind of messed me up as a kid from the beginning. Well, then you add all of these other dynamics because my dad went to prison at 17. Spent about 30 years in prison.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Couldn't find a job when he got out. And in that era that he did get out, it was riddled with drug dealing, drug abuse, gambling. Yeah. That is the lifestyle he ended up in. While my mom, she worked for Caraway Hospital. And but she also had a past coming in. Like my mom had been married before she got with my dad, and that was a abusive marriage.
Mm.
So I think when she got out of that, her thought process is, I need to get me a dude that could protect me.
Mm.
And that's how she ended up with my dad.
Yeah.
And so, grew up in that dynamics in that household, saw things that a kid should never see or experience. And then 11 years later, I ended up with a little brother.
Well, all right.
And so I'm 11 years old. My dad is 62 at this time. My mom is 39. And so, okay, yeah, I got a little brother. Was in denial the whole time. We ended up moving from Norwood to Ensley. And Dad was on his way home from getting Christmas dinner and was in a car accident. And left him not 100% paralyzed,
Oh my goodness.
but he was in a wheelchair. So my dad was in the hospital for a year. He was 6 months in the hospital and 6 months in rehab.
Oh.
My mom, on the other hand, is having to float everything for the household because there's not enough money coming in.
Which seems very similar to that great aunt who has the 15 children who's having to, or that grandma you were describing, who's having to take care of a lot of things.
Yep. And in her grief during this time, because, I mean, even though he didn't pass away, still grief.
You grieve so much when somebody suffers a disability or an accident like that.
Yeah, so she's turning to alcohol. So she gets into alcohol.
That's her coping mechanism.
And I tell people, be very careful of the little foxes that people bring to you. It started out as, oh, we're going to go to this house party, girls' night out, and it just kind of spiraled for her from there. And so she coped with alcohol probably for 5 or 6 years. And so she wasn't emotionally available. So I'm having to
in your teen years.
In my teen years. So I'm having to take care of my brother, be a caregiver to my dad.
It does sound like you're one of the girls that you started this program for.
Yeah.
So you're taking care of your brother, you're taking care of your dad, and you're probably trying to take care of your mom too.
Trying to take care of her, trying to go to school. Missed a lot of days out of school, like my 9th grade year. I think I went to school maybe 5 days because having to... Like, I couldn't. Like, I'm having to run a household. And in the days that I did go to school, I'm being called to the office, and they say, hey, your dad's here to check you out. Dad's here to check me out because I've got to go pay bills. I've got to go to the bank. I've got to go grocery shopping. And so I ended up 10th grade year. I said, okay, went through the summer. I'm going to stand strong. I am going to make some goals for myself. And so I got into 10th grade. First semester, I said I was going to join ROTC because I wanted to go to the Army. I said I was to take my ASVAB, get AB honor roll, and I did. So I was feeling pretty proud of myself. We get to the second semester where I meet my husband, and he's very encouraging about education. And so we get to about February, and I'm putting my books in my book bag. I'm excited about going to school now. I'm ironing my clothes,
Right.
And my mom is sitting on the end of the bed sobbing. And it's like one of those deep, hurt to the core,
like a guttural,
cries.
Visceral cry.
And I'm trying to ignore it. I said, I'm just going to put my books in my book.
I just need to get to school.
And she lets a sigh out. And I just pause, and I look at her, and I said, well, what's the matter? She said, I can't do this. It's too hard. I need you to come home. I said, huh? I need you to come home. See, she had been in this stew for the last 5 years, this depression. I had been running the household. And when I started going back to school, that meant she had to be responsible. And she didn't see how in the world I did all of that. And we're talking in the mornings. I'm helping my father get his bath. I'm helping him shave. I'm helping to get him dressed. I'm helping my brother get himself together. I'm walking him to school. all before I've even gotten myself together. Walking to the grocery store to get groceries, coming back, then I can get myself together. And so she's like, I don't see how in the world all of this was taking place. And my dad, he was a very mean and ornery man. Like, we would get, like, nurses to come out, he would run them away. Like, eventually we ended up on a list where they're like, oh, we're not sending no more nurses back out there. And so I had to be this caregiver. And then their relationship was so volatile that he didn't want her caring for him. And so, I mean, it was so volatile that in 93, like, he shot her. He shot her in the leg.
What?
Yeah. And so I'm like, yeah, this is my world. This is what I'm living in. So, yeah, little Tamika, I remember having a conversation with my dad. I told him, I said, look, I said, when I grow up at 11 years old, I said, I'm never getting married and I'm never having children. Because mentally, I thought that I would screw my kids up. I did not want.
I am child free. Look, ma'am, I am child free by choice. And people are always like, oh, are you scared of childbirth or blah, blah, blah? No, I don't want to mess my children up.
I promise you, that was like my declaration before my dad and the Lord. And my dad looked at me. He said, baby girl, don't ever say what you ain't going to do. And I was like, okay. So we fast forward. 15 years old. Mom asked me to drop out of school.
Oh, that is. Can we just talk for a second about the weight of that ask? Like, it's your mom. It's your mom who's in crisis, but also you're probably a little resentful towards her. You like school. You're good at school. You've got this hot boyfriend who is supportive of education.
He support
right? Like
he supported all of my endeavors in education. Like, I'm walking down to school to drop out, and he is walking with me, trying to talk me out of it.
Trying to beg you not to. But the weight of that choice, I mean, that is pretty brutal to me.
Yeah. I made the decision, and I was like, you know what? We're just going to call a spade a spade. I'm going to do what I need to do, get them through this, and then come down to it in May of that same year. My dad's health started to fail even
May
more.
of 10th grade. Okay.
And so we ended up going to the doctor. He had already had like this swelling on his legs. And, you know, you've seen people with the large swelling and they call it emphysema and all this stuff. Well, he started to break out in sores. And so we started going
that's no good, right?
Yeah. Went to dermatologist. Dermatologist was like, well, here's this, try this. And we were like, no, it's something else. And so they ended up doing a sonar on his legs. And he did not have any blood flow in his legs. And so he ended up having to have them amputated. So we're in the hospital and we're talking I'm preparing for him to come home. You know, I'm talking to the doctor. Now, this is me as a kid now.
And as a sophomore, what would have been you can't even drive yet, but you're having these conversations with
can't
doctors.
drive. And I'm like, okay, well, they sent a social worker in. And first time I ever heard of a social worker. And social workers, they're preparing to do something else. And I'm like, well, what type of equipment we're going to need? I'm like, okay, what's the bed called with the harness over the top? And this lady sits me down. And she said, hey, whoa, you're moving too fast. She said, this is something that you should not have been doing anyway.
Yes.
So we need to come up with a plan. He is not going to be able to come back home. That he can be taken care of fully. And that you can go back to being a kid.
Oh, my gosh.
And I was like, oh, well, okay. You know, she shut me down, right? Because I've been handling business these last few years.
Exactly.
So we come up with a plan. My aunts worked at nursing home that was across the street from Caraway Hospital. And they worked there for a while. And so we talked to them, and they were like, well, this would probably be the best fit for him. So we got him over there. We had family that could look in on him. And my dad stayed in that nursing home for 10 years.
Wow.
From 95, and he passed in 2005.
Wow.
And so we get to, okay, now mom's really struggling because by now Caraway's laying off, and she got laid off. And she loses the house. She ended up having to move into public housing. But ding, 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 I don't have room for you, and I can't take care of you. So I ended up homeless.
At how old?
I was same year, 95.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay.
Oh my gosh.
Don't have nowhere to go. Ended up lying about my age and got an ID.
Hey, look. That's kind of that's an appropriate lie.
Yeah. Got an ID. Boyfriend and I ended up getting a place to stay.
Same one?
Same one.
Same tall drink of water that I'm looking at over here has been with you this entire time.
Same one.
Whoa.
We ended up getting a 2-sided house in West End, paying probably triple of what the rent should have been. Right. Look, we're working at Crystals and off of Crystals checks, right?
Oh my gosh.
Trying to pay bills and trying to live, and then that next year we ended up conceiving my oldest son. Got pregnant, got married that next year.
Wow.
And
you're about to celebrate 30 years?
I'm about to celebrate 30 years.
Woo! Yeah. Can I ask is your mom still around?
She said she actually volunteers at the center. Yeah.
Of course she does.
She does.
We need a Lifetime movie about you.
Right.
And I mean that in the nicest way possible.
Yeah. She broke her addiction. I'm thankful.
That's incredible.
She's 75. She got her little scooter walker, as I like to call. But she's receptionist at her front desk.
How proud is she of you?
She's pretty proud. Yeah. I just thank God, because where we were estranged at one point, I have a lot of respect and love for my mom, and I have a deep understanding of who she is, because some of the decisions she made early in life, of course, growing up, you're angry.
Oh, right,
and like,
right.
What kind of mother would do this to her child?
How dare you? I would never do that. And it's so, especially when you're in the throes of an addiction,
right?
And you probably have some undealt with grief and trauma of your own, and you're a survivor of abuse,
And she never dealt with any of that. No. She never dealt with any of that. But I have learned how to live in the now with my mom.
That's so important.
And respect who she is
today, which is so powerful for people who are trying to rebuild trust in a relationship with people who have wronged them, quote unquote, in the past. It's like, we can live in the past or we can live today. And that's so hard. It is. But it's how you have a relationship with your mom, and she's volunteering at your place.
Oh, yeah. She's got a terrible sense of humor. Some things I'm like, hey, we're not going to do. If you ever just hear her talk sometimes, my mom has a very slick mouth, and she has a very weird sense of humor.
I feel like I would like her a lot.
You probably would. You probably would. I would like her a lot. You probably would get along with her.
I feel like I would like her a lot. Well, so many things are just clicking for me, because you offer opportunities for young people to get their GED and to take course credit upstairs at your facility. That happens Monday through Thursday, right? Yep. I mean, there's so many different services that you're offering that, as I hear you telling your story, that you could have benefited from, maybe you did benefit from, or there was a person who reached out to you. Yes. And that's what you're trying to provide.
That's what I'm trying to provide. I remember I was walking from the store. I think my oldest son was about 8 months at this time. We were walking from food fair, and a lady, I can't think of the lady's name at all. I never really saw her face. I always call her my angel. She handed me a flyer. I folded it up and put it in my pocket, and we walked to my mother-in-law's house, which my mother-in-law stayed up the street from me. Got to her house, and I opened it up because I had tried to go back and get my GED. West End High School had a night class. I was like, well, I'm going to go to this night class from 6 to 8 and then go to work didn't take. It was self-paced. And I'm like, I'm one of those people that need you to teach me. I can't do a self-paced.
I cannot either. Oh, my gosh.
And so it didn't work. And so this particular flyer, it was because I had given up on school. I wasn't going back. And so it said, okay, my excuse was I didn't have childcare, I didn't have transportation, right? Very first thing on the flyer said free childcare. I'm like, well,
there goes that excuse.
We will provide transportation.
There goes that excuse.
We're going to feed you breakfast and we're going to feed you lunch.
Score.
So got got enrolled. The director was Muriel Weatherly, and I hope she's out there somewhere. Miss Weatherly, if you're out there and you're still around, I want to say thank you for everything that you've done for me. I mean, got into this program, and they had daycare on site. Classroom, we're in there teaching. I learned how to work a computer. They had parenting classes for us. Like, I'm probably one of the older girls in the classroom. Like, started at 16, and so we would, at the end of the day, go get our babies and eat lunch with our babies. And my son learned how to walk in that place.
Oh my gosh!
You know, my oldest son learned how to walk in that place, and so I graduated top of my class. My teacher at the time had me fill out some paperwork. I didn't even know what the paperwork was, but it was an application to Lawson State Community College. And then the acceptance letter came back to her. And then by this time, we had a car, so he was there to pick me up when the acceptance letter came. He said, hey, go get your husband. Bring him back in here. So we're sitting down across from the teacher's desk. We're like, uh-oh, we in trouble? Did we do something wrong? And so she hands me this letter, and she looks at him. She didn't know his name. She said, husband, we going to college.
Oh, stop.
And he looked at me. He said, do you know how to get into college? I'm like, that's what this letter is.
Apparently, I do.
So I go to college.
Oh my gosh, that just gave me chills for real.
Yeah, get there and do the Lawson's 7-step enrollment process, which took me from 7 o'clock in the morning to 7 o'clock at night, all while in the heat of probably 95-degree weather, about to pass out. An ambulance was called because I had gotten dizzy, and they were like, well, all your vitals are fine. So they just had me sit down and rest and watch me. And they were like, well, you probably need to go home. But I refused to go home that day because I was going to complete my enrollment.
Yes, ma'am.
And then a couple of months later, I found out why I was about to pass out.
You were pregnant again.
I was pregnant again.
Oh. You really need a Lifetime movie.
So, yeah, I found out that I was about maybe about 8 weeks along, and I went to school, fall semester, spring semester, ended spring semester. And I never will forget my public speaking instructor, because it was me and another girl that we were pregnant. She was probably due 30 days before me. He kept trying to get one of us to have our baby early so we would have our demonstration speech in class. I never will forget
Lord.
that. I'm like, dude, I'm like, you do not want this type of demonstration in your class.
Whoa.
So we got through there. The semester ended May 9th. I had my youngest son, DJ, on May 31st. And took the summer off, went back my next year and got my associate's degree. Yep.
You're pretty incredible.
I don't know about all that.
Well,
but.
I've just been listening to your life's journey and seeing a lot of people go through stuff and they don't know what to do with that. And you've really used all of your life experiences as a catalyst to make change in community and to help other people. And like, you're really paying it forward. I mean, there are so many things that we could sit here and talk about. You have a teen summit coming up. You have a family summit. We're doing, we are mutually funded by the Children's Trust Fund.
Yep.
Shout out to Children's Trust Fund.
Yep.
April is Child Abuse Prevention Month.
Yep.
I know what we do directly prevents child abuse. I know what you do directly prevents it. All the parenting classes and the education, like what you're doing each and every day is truly inspiring, and as that is a result of what you and your family have lived through.
Yeah, we've lived through some trials and testimonies and the things that we experience today. Like, I had a little moment this morning, and my husband, my youngest son, and we were like, hey, we got this, like all on a 3-way call, right?
Wow.
And he's like, hey, we done been through.
I was gonna say,
I'm
pretty sure
been
you've been
tough
through
times.
a heck of a lot worse.
So it's really cool that sometimes when one of us is going through something, we could just hop on a call together or a text together, and we're like, hey, have your pity party, but we got it.
Okay, so, if people want to volunteer, if people want to contribute, if people want to check out your services because you've really touched a heartstring, how do they find you?
So our address is 1920 Old Springville Road.
Oh, so people can actually go to you. You're saying like, just come on.
Just come on. We always need volunteers on Thursdays. Thursdays is our heaviest day.
That's the food day, right?
That's our food distribution day. In fact, if you don't have anything to do today and you want to come volunteer, meet me there at about 12:30, and we'll orientate you and get you hooked in.
Awesome.
We always need donations. We're looking for sponsors for our Parent Summit coming up May 24th.
That's right. And then your Teen Summit on June 28th.
June 28th. We need volunteers and sponsors for that as well. And we run, and I just want to say this, we run an awesome program called Christmas at CCDN. And our goal for that program is to help offset the financial burden for parents for Christmas, because what we were seeing was parents would forego their rent and their utilities to try to provide Christmas.
Yes.
And so while we may not be able to maybe pay for the entire Christmas, we do try to raise funds, at least $150 per child.
Oh, wow.
To help the parents for Christmas, And so out of that $150, we may get an outfit, a wand, some shoes. And that's helpful for parents. And of course, the smaller the kid is, the more you can get with the $150. But we'll be sending some information out to help raise money for that. And then we have our annual fundraiser. We're kicking off on April the 30th, where I have a very ambitious goal of $100,000. And from my lips to God's ears, that will happen. Will happen.
I think that if anybody can make it happen, it's probably you.
Oh.
Thank you so much for being here. I had no idea about all of the services you provided. I knew about some, but I also didn't know about all of the things that you've been through to get to this moment. And I would just like to say, you're going to say, oh, don't say that, but congratulations.
Thank you. Don't make me cry.
I know, but congratulations. You are doing the thing.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Tamika Holmes.
Thank you.
If you liked what you heard, and gosh, I know you did, you're probably wiping away your tears right now, please consider rating, reviewing, and subscribing to The Shield.